The Terracotta Army has, for almost 5 decades now, represented one of the most astonishing archaeological findings in human history. More than 8,000 life-size clay soldiers, complete with horses and chariots, were found standing guard over the tomb of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang. Each figure was carved with haunting realism, every face unique, as if time itself had frozen to mid-breath. On the surface, it seemed like a stunning monument to power and ambition, a silent testament to an emperor determined to rule even beyond death. In reality, however, those statues were never really silent. Beneath a veneer of armor, scratched under their feet and etched inside hollow torsos lay thousands of cryptic inscriptions. For decades, historians dismissed them as simple workshop marks or inventory codes until today. A classified Chinese program, known as Project Tanjore Heavenly Secret, recently employed a revolutionary quantum AI system to analyze these ancient symbols. Its goal was to decode what generations of human archaeologists had failed to grasp. What the AI uncovered was not a record of pride or craftsmanship, but something far darker. The carvings were not marks, they were voices, testimonies, and warnings. The soldiers, it seemed, had been trying to speak all along, and what they revealed shook the world. The story begins in Shaanxi Province, China, in the spring of 1974. During the final years of the Cultural Revolution, villagers were struggling to survive. A team of farmers, desperate to find water during the severe drought, began digging a well outside the city of Xi'an. Their shovels hit something hard, at first thought to be stone or old masonry, but when they brushed away the dirt, a clay had emerged, eerily lifelike. That single discovery unraveled into one of the greatest archaeological finds of all time. Excavations revealed not one but thousands of clay warriors standing in perfect battle formation, life-size, and intricately detailed. In time, archaeologists unearthed over 8,000 soldiers, 130 chariots, and nearly 700 horses guarding the emperor's great underground mausoleum. It was not the scale that astonished, but the individuality of each figure. No face was similar to another, some proud, others weary, some even bearing faint smiles. An army of living soldiers, appearing to have been frozen in clay mid-command, waited for orders which would never come. But behind the global excitement lay the question, who built them? How long did it take? And more to the point, what did all those weird, hidden symbols actually mean? For years, officials maintained that these were quality control stamps, a bureaucratic tool of the Qin dynasty, which was known for its obsession with order and accountability. The explanation was neat and convenient, but whispers persisted that the marks were not names. They were messages. Tiny carvings appeared in peculiar places, under the sole of Clay's shoe, inside a chest plate, or hidden beneath an archer's arm. Many of the inscriptions didn't match known Qin writing. Some were distorted, others completely foreign. No pattern seemed to emerge. The statues themselves were fragile, too delicate to be opened or handled roughly. Rumors spread among excavation teams that the most important inscriptions were buried deep inside hollow torsos or sealed beneath armor plates, forever out of reach. Eventually, scholars cataloged the markings, photographed them, and moved on. Textbooks labeled them as artisan signatures and workshop codes. But those who worked closely with the soldiers reported strange sensations, as if the clay figures whispered faintly when touched. For 50 years, technology wasn't ready to uncover the truth. With the rise of quantum AI, the silence was finally broken, but the results were chilling. To understand what the decoded messages meant, one must understand the man who ordered their creation, Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of a unified China. Born in 259 BC, he rose to power through ruthless conquest, uniting warring states under one rule by 221 BC. He standardized language, currency, weights, and measures, and began building what would become the Great Wall of China. His reign forged order out of chaos, but behind his brilliance lay a deep, consuming fear, the fear of death. Qin Shi Huang was obsessed with immortality and grasped at it with the futility of a man clinging to life as he drowned. According to ancient accounts, he dabbled in frantic experiments with alchemists, drinking potions concocted of jade and mercury in the belief that they would give him immortality. Actually, they slowly poisoned him from within. His fear of death shaped not only his life, but also his afterlife. The Terracotta army was more than a monument, it was a strategy. Qin sought to rule in death just as he had in life, commanding vast legions to protect him in the underworld. Yet such power came at a devastating cost. The emperor's grand projects demanded immense labor, consuming countless human lives. According to the historian Sima Qian, more than 700,000 convicts, peasants, and prisoners of war were forced into backbreaking labor on the tomb complex. They worked under brutal conditions, whipped, starved, and living in constant fear of death. For many, the Terracotta army was not a masterpiece of art, but a death sentence. Chilling accounts suggest that when the work was complete, the very artisans who built the tomb were sealed inside, buried alive to ensure its secrets would never be revealed. Imagine their last moments, the grinding of stone closing them in, trapping them forever in darkness. Now, consider the inscriptions themselves. Phrases such as, "We were built by suffering," "He took our names and burned them into this earth," are no longer poetic mysteries, but possible messages from those long lost. They may be the final words of men whose lives and identities were erased by an emperor obsessed with eternity. For nearly half a century, archaeologists documented mysterious carvings without answers until a secretive project, known as Project Tani, finally emerged. Its name, meaning heavenly secret, was fitting for what it aimed to uncover. It was anchored by an extraordinary, groundbreaking quantum AI system unlike anything previously conceived. Conventional computers process information line by line. Quantum AI can work out trillions of possibilities in an instant, defying the rules of classical computing, and operating in space where multiple answers can exist simultaneously. But what happens when you feed an AI high-resolution multispectral scans of thousands of terracotta warriors and reveal to them not only visible engravings but faded, eroded, and even hidden markings totally invisible to the naked eye? Every clay soldier, every armor plate, and every hollow torso is part of a vast digital archive. The AI's mission was simple: find order in this chaos. It succeeded. Patterns began to emerge. Symbols once thought random connected across vast distances. A mark on a general's helmet in Pit 1 matched a faint carving on an archer's leg 300 feet away in Pit 2. What seemed like meaningless scratches started to form sentences. Entire sequences repeated across regiments. Words came out of the dust of time. The first translation was hauntingly simple. "We were built by suffering." It was engraved where anyone could see, hidden inside armor plates, never meant for human eyes. A cry for help, a testimony of pain. The AI had unlocked the voices of the dead, and the Terracotta army began to speak. Inside the hollow torso of a high-ranking officer, another phrase appeared. "He took our names and burned them into this earth." These weren't words of pride, but records of loss, of stolen identity. Their names and lives were erased, replaced by clay soldiers that would outlast them for thousands of years. On the kneeling archers in the front of the formation, the AI found something even darker: a curse. "May our souls never know peace, but stand guard for eternity." This wasn't a plea for rest. It was a binding oath, or perhaps a forced spell, condemning the builders' souls to eternal servitude. The implication was horrifying. These statues weren't symbolic, they were vessels, containers for the spirits of those who created them. If true, it means the Terracotta army isn't a triumph of artistry, but a ritual prison, a monument forged from suffering. Each unique face might not be artistic imagination at all, but a likeness, a person once alive whose spirit was sealed within the clay. Every faint smile, every weary gaze could be a ghostly echo of a soul that never escaped. What the AI uncovered wasn't history. It was horror. A chorus of silenced voices had finally broken through 2,000 years of dust and stone to tell their story. When farmers in Shaanxi first struck clay in 1974, they thought they had found water. But instead, they found one of humanity's greatest wonders. For decades, the Terracotta army stood as a symbol of craftsmanship and imperial power, to be marveled at by millions who never suspected the darkness it concealed. Now, with the power of quantum AI, the silent soldiers have begun to whisper not of glory, but of grief. They speak of suffering, of stolen identities, of eternal bondage. The revelations of Project Tani leave us with an unsettling question. What if the Terracotta army is not a monument to power, but a crime scene where the emperor who unified China also condemned the souls of those who built his empire to eternal torment? To this day, the central tomb of Qin Shi Huang remains sealed, untouched and shrouded in mystery. Legends speak of deadly traps, rivers of mercury, and chambers that no living person has ever seen. If the inscriptions outside are warnings, what horrors might lie within? The Terracotta army has long been seen as a marvel of human achievement, but after what the AI revealed, it may also stand as a warning, a message carved by the suffering, waiting 2,000 years for us to listen. Now that we have heard their voices, one question remains. Do we dare open the tomb, or should we let the emperor and his prisoners rest forever in silence?